25.
You also.
Hope
Good
you
to see
enjoy your stay.
Oh, you're going to be silly today, huh?
Oh boy.
All right, we'll get started as soon as courtroom one is ready for us.
Okay.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Officer Melton.
Uh, we're ready with Miss Bader's time, so she's ready.
Okay, let's see. Do we have everyone? Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Bader.
Good afternoon, Judge.
And as soon as the solicitors get on, I guess we can get started. We're a
And
little
Judge,
before 2. Yes.
I do have a couple of waivers of presence for today. I was waiting to see who from the solicitor's office is on so I could copy them on that email. And if there's anyone else I should include, please let me know.
Okay, so once they get on, if you could just give an oral announcement for me, is that fine with you?
Sure.
Okay, very good. And Ms. Bridgewater, when is the SAP reset date?
January the 16th.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Your Honor, we're going to need a Spanish interpreter for Miss Senora Maldonado Santa Maria.
Okay, I will, let's see, have we requested a Spanish interpreter for this afternoon? Afternoon, Mr. Jordan.
Not yet, Judge. I'll see if I can get someone.
All right, I appreciate it. Good afternoon, Ms. Desiano.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Ms. Bader had a couple of, and Ms. Allen, good afternoon. Ms. Bader had a couple of waivers that she wanted to announce, and then we'll go to ACDC and get started. Okay, Ms. Bader, who do you have a waiver for today?
Yes, Judge. One of them is I'm sorry, let me pull them up.
It's Miss Landers, position 18.
One of them is Miss Landers and one of them is Miss Deviana. That's correct.
Okay.
Test.
And let me find the position for the other one.
Okay, and while you're doing that, afternoon, Francois, Happy New Year. We can get started at ACDC whenever you're ready for us.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon and Happy New Year to you as well and everyone else.
And the other position is position 7.
Okay, thank you. And that is Copeland.
Correct.
Okay.
We can start with position number 4, Carter.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Carter, and to the other young ladies that are there. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We're providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their services. Ms. Carter, you've been charged in case 25 CR 0000005J with criminal trespass and damage to property. Good afternoon, Mr. Howard. Is there a history?
Second 2024 reckless conduct that's open out of DeKalb County, a resident of Macon, Georgia.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Desiano.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident happened back in October. On October 6th, officers responded to 2249 Carver Drive Northwest regarding a dispute. The victim in this case is the defendant's mother. Her name is Mary Carter. She's also on the Zoom. She stated that the defendant was upset with her because she wouldn't allow her boyfriend to come over and punched her kitchen window until it broke. We've been in touch with the victim today. She's mom. She says they do not live together. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She stated nothing like this has happened before. The defendant has apologized for this incident and they're on good terms, and she would like contact. So Judge, we're requesting an SOB through pretrial, no further violent contact with Ms. Carter, complete an anger awareness course, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol, and if you can sound for her. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Carter. I see you there. If you would like to address the court, I need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, ma'am. You can place your hand down. What would you like to tell the court?
I just wanted to tell my daughter she's an exceptional young lady. Sometimes in life we go through a lot of things and situations and we don't know how to handle them. And that's where my daughter is basically at in life right now. We're trying to get her on the right track. She has her current job. She's become employed. You know, she's gotten herself out of the situation that she was in. And we just need to move forward from this so that she can provide for her children.
Okay. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Carter. Ms. Bader, any objections to any of the requests of the state?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Carter, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Carter.
I'm sorry, Judge. I did step away from the, what was the bond amount? I did step away.
It's a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck to you both.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Ms. Carter.
Positions 13 and 14, Harley.
Okay. And whose client is Ms. Harley?
I'm sorry, that's my client.
Okay, I just want to make sure I see Mr. McLean in courtroom 1, so I wanted to make sure that if it was here. So thank you, Ms. Bader. Good afternoon, Ms. Harley. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000021E with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, giving false information to law enforcement officers, 4 counts. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
So 9th arrest. Open ag stalking disorderly conduct. 23 SC 185642. Open battery out of state court. It's 22 CR 0003328. On probation out of Clayton County. Felony obstruction. Has a Clayton County hold. 2022 FTA and probation. And a bench warrant out of McBurney.
Graciano?
Yes, Your Honor, as it relates to position 13, that incident happened on October 24th. Officers responded to a domestic dispute at 1104 Deer Trail in Milton. Upon arrival, they made contact with Miss Ebony Pollard, who is in a relationship with the defendant. She advised that the defendant had left the residence prior to police arrival. She stated that she got in contact with the officers. The defendant spoke with them. The officers told her that she needed to return to the residence. She said she was going to, and then she did not. And she gave a series of false names, 2 false names and 2 false dates of birth to the officers while on the phone, and then never showed. In the second incident, it was also another call related to a domestic dispute involving Miss Ebony Pollard again. She called 911, and when the police arrived, she explained that she's in a relationship with the defendant. They were in a verbal dispute. She called police because she wanted to de-escalate the situation. And when she did so, the defendant knocked her phone out of her hand, so she couldn't complete the call. At some point, the defendant was located in the area, and she did admit to striking the phone out of her hand while she was calling 911. We've been in touch with Miss Pollard today. She states that the parties are in a relationship. They live together at the incident location. She stated that it was an escalating argument, and that's why she called the police. She said that the defendant's never been physically violent with her. It's always verbal. She wants no violent contact, but would like her to stay away from her residence. She said that the defendant will need a one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve her belongings. So as it relates to position 13, Your Honor, the state's requesting a $500 surety bond on each count. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. As it relates to position 14, the state's requesting a $1,000 surety, no violent contact with Ms. Pollard, stay away from her residence, which is the 1104 Deer Trail in Milton, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Thank you. Ms. Bader?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Harley is 36 years old. She's been in Atlanta for the last 7 years. She has 2 sisters, a brother, nieces, and nephews, and her grandmother who all live here. She's got ties to the community. She has a good job working as a cook at Publix, where she's been for about 1 year. Judge, you heard that the complaining witness in this case does not sound fearful of Miss Harley, wants contact with Miss Harley. Additionally, I believe she has a hold. So Judge, we are asking for signature bonds on both counts. We have no objection to the stay away, as she does have a good address with her grandmother at 1183 Oak Street Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia 30310. And we would also ask for the no further violent contact as requested as well by the complaining witness.
Ms. Bader, does Ms. Harley currently live at the address of Ms. Pollard or not?
She'll be able to.
I'm just wondering if she's going to need an escort to retrieve her belongings or not.
I believe she will, yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, according to the victim, they do live there, and she did say she will need a one-time escort.
Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Desiano. If nothing further, for position number 13, it's going to be a $100 good bond on each charge, makes for a total of a $500 good bond. In case 25 CR 000022E, the hindering person making an emergency phone call, it will also be a $100 good bond. No further violent contact with Ms. Pollard. Stay away from her residential address. One-time escort with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck, Ms. Harley.
We can go ahead and do position number 2, Blackwell.
All right, let me just address everyone that's in courtroom 2. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We are providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their services. Mr. Blackwell, good afternoon. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000001D with simple battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Yeah. Did you see the add-on come through? It's just in the add-on calendar. Blunt, Judge. 6 total.
Hold on 1 second for me. No, I did not. Thank you, Mr. Howard. I did not see the add-on calendar. Is this? Just pull it up now. So this is on the add-on calendar?
No.
No.
Oh,
okay.
yes. That's the add-on right there.
This case is not on the add-on, Your Honor. This case is position 2 on the regular calendar.
Okay, so this is Rico Blackwell, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I thought she was asking something else. 6 total. He's on federal probation. Conspiracy to commit bank robbery. Carrying, possessing a weapon during a crime of violence. 2011 probation. He is wanted by the U.S. Marshals for that probation, that federal probation. So that's it.
Desiano?
Yes, Judge, this incident happened on December 31st. Officers responded to the Motel 6 in East Point at 1377 Virginia Avenue. Upon arrival, the officers stood at the door to room 307 and heard tussling between two people and a female voice telling a male to stop, stop, please stop. The officers then knocked on the door and announced their presence and told the occupants to open the door. They made contact with the defendant, who initially said nothing had happened. It was a verbal argument, nothing more, with his girlfriend. The officers then made contact with the victim, whose name is Jaden Sutton. She was shaking and scared and thanking the officers for arriving. She also had blood coming from her mouth, but she had a couple bruises on her body. She states that she was in a fight a few days before and was injured from that fight, and that none of her injuries on the night came from the defendant, but that they were having an argument while she was in the shower. The defendant told her to get out of the shower, and when she got out of the shower, the defendant pushed her to the ground, causing her to fall. And this happened several times. When she would try to get up, he would continue to push her down. The victim denied that the defendant struck her anywhere near where her injuries were and insisted those injuries were pre-existing. Your Honor, he already has a $1,000 surety bond on this simple battery, so the state's just requesting that that bond remain as set, with the condition of no contact with Ms. Sutton, a stay away from the Motel 6, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol, and if he does make bond, to be released to that U.S. Marshal hold. And if you can sound for Ms. Sutton, we've not been in touch with her yet today. Thank you.
Ms. Sutton is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Does not appear so. Good afternoon, Ms. McCloud.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My client is 34 years old. He denies that he was violent in any way with the young lady, Your Honor. He definitely denies that. And as the state has said, he has a hold from the federal marshals. So I would ask the court to consider giving him a signature bond conditioned on him being released to this federal hold. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, it's going to be a $1,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Sutton. Stay away from the Motel 6 on Virginia Avenue. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And just so you all know, Ms. Chancey is on the line for whomever needs the Spanish interpreter. So I'll leave it to you all to get that ready for us. Afternoon, Ms. Chancey. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
we're having trouble. They're not getting incoming calls at ACDC, but the Spanish interpreter is needed for them. And when they call us back, we'll reach them by radio, ask them to call us back. And should we do it as a breakout room or on the phone?
Yes, McLean, we're actually signing in now to do the breakout
Okay, perfect.
on the other computer.
That'd be great.
Would you like me to use my phone, Your Honor, or?
No, we're going to put you into a breakout room, Ms.
Okay,
Chancey.
thank
So if
you.
you'll just hold on for a moment. And this is Officer Milton. You have the young lady that needs the interpreter.
Yes, Your Honor, we're right here.
Okay, and Mr. McLean, are you ready for that breakout room?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so if we can put courtroom 1, Officer Milton and Ms. Chancey into a breakout room, please. And while we're doing that, I guess we'll go back to ACDC. Is that right? Francois, would you like us to go?
That's fine. Yes, Judge, that's fine. I have position number 17, Ms. Joyner.
Okay, and who represents Ms. Joyner?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Joyner. You have been charged in case 25 CR 0000002E with simple assault, family violence, and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Second, 2014 malicious mischief.
Afternoon, Ms. Allen.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Thank you. Happy New Year.
You as well.
This is a incident from the 31st of December at about 10:45 p.m. Police were called to 569 Middle Street Southwest. On scene, they met with the victim and 911 caller, Gregory Doyle. He reported that he and his ex-girlfriend, the defendant, were arguing. While police were on scene, the defendant was seen to be extremely intoxicated and throwing food at officers, as well as being verbally abusive. She was refusing to follow their commands on scene. Mrs. Joyner was detained and put into a vehicle so that they could speak with the victim. He reported that they lived together, and he showed police a video of them arguing and the defendant throwing punches at him and him having to defend himself. Again, the victim's name is Gregory Doyle, D-O-Y-L-E. Documents included in the file that we were sent show that the defendant was taken to Grady before being taken to the jail and was also combative and violent there with staff. We were unable to get in touch with Mr. Doyle today. We're asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, to stay away from Mr. Doyle and to stay away from the location at 569 Middle Street Southwest. And if you would sound for Mr. Doyle, we tried to reach out to him today, but weren't successful. Maybe he got the link. Thank you.
Okay. If Mr. Gregory Doyle is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to activate your camera, unmute yourself, and I'll have to swear you in. Does not appear that he's with us. Ms. Bader?
Yes, Judge. We don't have an objection to the signature bond. We would just ask for a one-time police escort so Ms. Joyner can get her belongings from the residence.
Okay. For the simple assault, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the obstruction, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Mr. Doyle. Stay away from the Middle Street address. She can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Given that no one has heard from Mr. Doyle today, if his wishes are any different at some time in the future, this can be modified if the solicitor's office or Ms. Bader hears from him. Good luck to you, Ms. Joyner.
Ms. Joyner, you received a signature bond.
I just want to, I was the one hurt and I was the one beat thrown downstairs. He called the police to have
Okay.
me moved, and I did.
And Ms.
nobody-
And correct, she does oppose the facts in this case, and says that he was the primary aggressor. Judge, our goal here today was a signature bond, so but I'll add that as well for Ms. Joyner for the court to understand her position.
I understand. You'll be able to have your day in court at a later time, Ms. Joyner. I've given you a signature bond so that you'll be able to sign yourself out of jail, and you'll come back at a later time. You'll get a court notice as this goes forward. Okay. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Judge, is it through the jail or pretrial?
Pretrial level 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
Position number 6, courtroom 1.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Christie. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000010G with simple battery family violence. Is there a history?
Third arrest, 2024 DUI, hit and run, obstruction. The date of that was September 7th. That's all. This was level 2.
Ms. Allen?
This is my case, Judge. This
I'm
incident
sorry.
happened. No problem. Yesterday, New Year's Day, around 5:30 in the morning, officers were dispatched to 15065 Birmingham Highway in Alpharetta. The victim in this case is Maria Christie. She's the defendant's mother. She advised the defendant came home after an evening of heavy drinking. She was angry. Her sister apparently sent an Uber for her, and the drop-off address was not the address she wanted to be taken to. And so she had to get another Uber from an address in Cherokee County back to the incident location. So when she arrived home, she was upset, yelling and cursing. She went to her room. Her mother followed her, was trying to talk with her, and while she was in the defendant's bedroom, the The defendant stepped toward her mother and grabbed her head with both hands and squeezed it. And the warrant says shook her head while continuing to yell at her. We've been in touch with the victim today. She's mom. They live together. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She states that this is not normal behavior for the defendant. She was concerned that the defendant was going to harm herself, and that's why she called police. She has been working with her family to make arrangements for the defendant to enter a mental health and substance abuse treatment facility once she's released from jail. The victim stated that the facilities that they've been looking at are either the Black Bear Treatment Facility or the Skyland Trail Treatment Facility. She's not in fear and would like the defendant to return home and continue contact. Judge, given that this is now the second arrest involving alcohol, you heard pretrial say she's out on bond for a DUI where she hit someone back in September. That's in Woodstock. We are requesting that she receive an SOB through pretrial to be released only to her mother or the Black Bear Treatment Facility or the Skyland Trail Facility. And her parents are on the line if they could maybe elaborate if they've made a selection between those two facilities. We'd also ask that there be a requirement as a condition of her bond that she complete treatment at either one of those facilities and that she have no further violent contact with the victim and no weapons, drugs, and absolutely no alcohol. And if Your Honor isn't inclined to order treatment through the bond, that's of course the state's preference. And I believe the family's preference to get her the help she needs. But if Your Honor is not inclined to do that, then we would ask in the alternative that the bond require that she get an alcohol and drug evaluation and follow any recommended treatment, and that she be subjected to alcohol and drug screening through pretrial services and complete an anger awareness course. And Ms. Christie's on the line, Your Honor. Maybe we can inquire if they have any more information about a treatment facility. Thank you.
Hello, Your Honor.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Christie. If you'll raise your right hand. You'll raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, yeah, you can place your hand down, ma'am. Let me just inform you that we are live on YouTube. That's being broadcast everywhere. Although I understand that there may be some mental health issues or some alcohol issues, I don't want you to place your daughter's all of her personal information here, but I'm happy to hear what you have to tell me in that regard as to what Ms. Desiano was telling me. Okay.
Yes, sir. So back in when she was 17, we had her treated for mental health and substance abuse issues, and she did amazing. After that treatment, we brought her here to Georgia a week after the treatment so that she could start a new life and live better and healthier and happier. She's completed school for cosmetology school at Paul Mitchell. She is now going to community college at a technical college studying small engine repairs. She has a full-time job while she's not at school. She had a boyfriend that shot himself in front of her while over the phone 6 months ago, and that started a very traumatic restart of all of her issues. That's when the DUI
Lost Ms. Christie. While we wait for them to get back online, Ms. Bader, is this your client?
It is, Your Honor. And Judge, I am aware of the plans for Miss Christie to go into treatment. She spoke about that as well. And that's correct. She has been doing well in school and work, and she's also dedicated to do a treatment program as discussed with her parents. I will request that it not be part of the order for a full successful completion. That feels more like a sentence versus a bond condition at this point. But that would be the defense's preference. But I do believe she is committed to going into treatment, Judge. Thank you.
Do you know, since her Her mother's no longer with us on the Zoom call. Do you know whether or not they have a treatment facility that she's ready to go into or not?
I believe Miss Christie is under the impression that there's a facility in Blue Ridge that that was the plan.
Is that
I'm not-
inpatient?
I believe
Or
so,
not?
Judge. I do believe so.
And
Okay.
as of this morning, Your Honor, they were going between two facilities, the Black Bear Treatment and Skyland Trail. I'm familiar with Skyland Trail. I know that's in Atlanta, so it must be the Black Bear.
We
Miss
lost
Christie,
you. I'm sorry. We're back. Our connection
Okay.
dropped.
We were
We
talking
do
about we were talking about the treatment facility while you're going. Do you have her schedule to go into a treatment facility?
Yes, sir. Directly from jail. She's going straight from there, straight to the facility. They're just waiting on us to call. They have to talk to Catherine. They have 10 minutes of questions, but they already have our insurance information. They have everything ready. They just need to ask her the questions as far as the process. But she is on her way straight from there, Your Honor.
and Miss Christie,
Okay.
is it your understanding that the facility is going to pick her up, or will you need to transport her from
So
the
my-
jail to there?
So my husband, not myself, my husband is going to pick her up after we know what's happening. And he's taking her directly to Black Bear.
And what's your husband's name?
Rainy Christie.
I'm sorry, could you say your first name again?
Rainy, like a rainy day.
Okay. Well, Your Honor, we would just request the bond to be an SOB release with a co-signer for Dad to pick her up, and that she be ordered to complete the Black Bear Treatment Facility.
Okay. It will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further violent contact with Miss Maria Christie. She is to be picked up by Mr. Rainey Christie and be transported to the Black Bear Treatment Facility. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. All right. Good luck to you all.
Thank
See
you.
you.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
Position number 2 is to add on Jones.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Jones. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000031H with battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No.
Yes, Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. One moment, okay?
Okay.
I apologize. Your Honor, this is an incident that occurred some time ago. The defendant was just picked up on a warrant. She has 2 co-defendants. This is an incident that occurred in October of 2023. Police were called at about 5 p.m. to 1780 Lakewood Avenue Southeast. There they spoke to the victim, who is a juvenile. She's now 17 years old. Her initials are FW. It's reported that the defendant in front of you and her younger sister, Ivory Jones, as well as their brother, Malik Jones, jumped on this young woman and struck her multiple times with fists and kicked her as she went to the ground. She was seen to have a visible bruising and a knot to her forehead. Police identified the 3 individuals, including Mrs. Zariah Jones in front of you, based on surveillance and photographs. We spoke to the parents of the juvenile today. She reported that the defendant was a friend of hers previously. After that friendship ended, there was some retaliation and sharing some things on social media. And that The young woman was picking her nephew up from childcare when the defendant and two other people, her brother and sister, assaulted her. They've been continuing to receive threatening messages since this incident happened a year ago. They're afraid of retaliation since this has continued since the arrest warrant had been issued. They're requesting no contact and to stay away. The address I'll put in the chat where defendant needs to stay away from. So we're asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. No contact at all with the victim, initials FW, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and to stay away from her residence.
Any objection to any of that, Ms. McLeod?
No objection to any of that, Your Honor. And I would just like to put on the record that my client is an active duty member of the military. She's in the Army and has been in the Army for approximately a year. She does not live in Metro Atlanta. She actually lives in Hinesville on the base. And she's had no contact with this person for well over a year. So it's not going to be an issue at all for her not to have any contact with this person. And of course, everything will come out at trial as to what really happened.
Okay. It will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with the alleged victim. Stay away from the residential address. Also, no further contact with the alleged victim's family members. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond, except for weapons that are necessary in the carrying out of her duties in the military.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Position number 9.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Elseman. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000014G with simple battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Where we got 26 total on probation out of the cab, terrorist threats, open burglary, second degree, trespass, criminal damage to property, second degree. Another open case out of the cab for obstruction. 2022 FTA, 2019 FTA, 2018 obstruction, NOLO, 2018 probation, 2018 simple battery conviction, 2015 FTA, and 2011 simple battery conviction.
Thank you. Stasiana?
And Your Honor, for clarification, the case she's on probation for, there's also a simple battery conviction as well. This incident happened on November 19th of 2024. Officers were dispatched to 1181 McPherson Avenue. I believe this is a Citgo or convenience store of some kind. Police were dispatched there for a dispute. Upon arrival, they met with one of the employees there. His name is Rodney Bowman. He's familiar with the defendant, states that she's homeless. He sees her regularly. She came in, asked him for a cigarette. He declined to give her one. She became irate and started to yell at him, and then approached him from behind and hit him on his back. There's also surveillance video from the location that corroborates that. The state's requesting, Your Honor, a $1,500 surety bond, no contact with Mr. Bowen, stay away from the incident location, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol, and a BHET if she hasn't already had one. Perhaps the defense can weigh in on that. Thank you.
Ms. Bader?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Eisman is 40 years old, born and raised in Austell, Georgia. Judge, this is a pretty old incident date, or at least a couple months ago from November. She is currently staying at the Frontline shelter. If she remains in custody, our office will certainly have a social worker come out to see her, Judge. At this point in time, we're asking for a signature bond. And if Your Honor is not inclined, then we would ask to keep the bond as is. Thank you.
And what's the current bond, Ms. Bader?
It's a $1,000 surety bond, as far as I understand it.
Okay, so it'll be $1,000 good bond. No further contact with Mr. Bowman. Stay away from the Sitco on McPherson Avenue. A social worker visit to assist with housing. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. We'll see her back if she's not released on the SAP calendar on the 16th. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Number 20, Moses.
Good afternoon, Ms. Moses. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000008A with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers and disorderly conduct. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Fourth arrest, 2023, breach of trust with fraud intent. That was out of Florence, South Carolina. 2020 uninsured, motor vehicle, possession of marijuana. And she's a resident of Florence, South Carolina.
Your Honor, that's my case. This is an incident from the 31st of December. Police were called to 1377 Virginia Avenue. That's the Motel 6 in East Point. There, the front desk clerk, Mrs. Howell, reported that a guest at the location had become verbally abusive and disorderly in the lobby of the location. She requested that police issue a criminal trespass warning, which they did. As police were trying to...
Ms. Ellen, one second. I just want to make sure that her attorney's on the line. Who's representing Ms. Moses?
It should be Mr. McLean, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Allen.
No, I appreciate it.
Saw that we were that he wasn't on with us. It appears that Mr. McLean is still in the breakout room. Can we take someone who's not Mr. McLean's client?
Can we take number 7, Ms. Copeland?
Okay.
I apologize, Judge.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure.
Judge. I thought he was in the room and I just couldn't see him in the frame.
Okay, so this is Ms. Copeland. Good afternoon, Ms. Copeland. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000012D with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No.
Yes, Ms. Desiano.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place on December 31st. Officers responded to 2084 Browns Mill Road in Atlanta regarding a dispute. The victim in this case is Elijah Norwood. She and the victim and the defendant have a child together. The defendant told police that the victim body slammed her to the ground. I believe the defendant is the one who called the police. They spoke with the victim, who told the officers that they were arguing when the defendant threw a glass bottle at him in the driveway and then approached him and struck him several times on his face. The victim was seen to have a laceration and what the officer described as significant swelling to his eye area. The victim said after he was hit in the face, he grabbed the defendant by the waist to try to prevent her from striking him again. And that's the movement that the defendant was claiming she was attacked by the victim, but really he was saying he was trying to de-escalate the situation and prevent the defendant from striking him again. When confronted with the victim side of the story by the officers, the defendant initially denied striking the victim, but then later did admit that she did strike him. It was determined that she was the primary aggressor and she was arrested. We have not been in touch with Mr. Norwood today. It is her first arrest, Your Honor, so we're requesting a signature bond through pretrial. No further contact with Mr. Norwood. Stay away from the incident location. Anger awareness course, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if you can sound for Mr. Norwood. Thank you.
Mr. Elijah Norwood is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Yes, Ms. Bader.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Copeland is 20 years old. She did graduate high school and has her certificate to be an esthetician. She is currently 19 weeks pregnant. And you heard that she did call the police. And she denies being the primary aggressor in this case. Judge, we have no objection to the signature bond. I just wanted to make that clear for Ms. Copeland.
Stacy, what was a contact request?
No contact at this point, Your Honor, because we have not been in touch with Mr. Norwood.
And Judge, Ms. Copeland said she wouldn't have an objection to that. She also has a good address that's separate from the incident location, so we don't have a problem with the stay away either. Ms. Copeland, will you need to return to retrieve anything?
Ma'am?
Will you need to go back to the address to get any of your belongings?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay.
So it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Mr. Norwood. Stay away from the Brownfield Road address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck, Ms. Copeland.
Judge,
Do we
going
have
back to position number 20, Moses McLean is available.
Okay. Mr. McLean, are you back with us? Well, I see that Madam Interpreter came out of the breakout room. I'm not sure why Mr. McLean's not back. Could we check and see if he just doesn't know how to get back out of the breakout room?
I just closed the breakout room, Judge, so he should be coming back in.
Okay.
Judge, they can move on to the next case, to Ms. Bader's cases.
Okay, thank you.
Number 3, Brown.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brown. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000003C with simple battery and given false information to law enforcement. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
22 on probation for burglary, possession of tools. 23 SC 191182 on probation in Clayton County. Aggravated assault, 2024 probation, 2022 FTA. 2021 probation, 2019 parole violation, 2011 ag assault, possession of a firearm during the conviction, 2010 ag assault.
Yeah. Stasiano?
Yes, Judge, this incident took place December 29th. Officers responded to 1858 East Ferris Avenue in East Point regarding a simple battery. Upon arrival, they spoke with the victim, whose name is Miss Tammy Pitts. She explained that she was walking down the street when the defendant came up to her and said, "Anybody can get it," and began yelling and cursing at her, and then pushed her down, causing her to fall. Officers made contact with the defendant, who was sleeping on the ground when they arrived, and he provided the false name of Timothy Davis. There was also another witness on scene that corroborated the victim's account of what had happened. We have not been in touch with Miss Pitts today. We have been in touch with her family. They were trying to get in touch with her today, but we have not been successful. The state's requesting a $2,000 surety bond, $1,500 on the battery, and $500 on the giving false name. No contact with Miss Pitts. Stay away from the incident location. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Miss Pitts, the incident location in the warrant is a residence, Your Honor, but the wording from the warrant seems like this may have happened on the street. Not entirely sure if this is Miss Pitts' residence. That's why we're requesting the stay away. Thank you.
Okay, if Ms. Pitts is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. Ms. Bader?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Brown is 31 years old. He's lived in Atlanta all his life. He has a good address and he has gainful employment. He also got his GED. He works for a food company called Milo Movers. Your Honor, we're respectfully asking for a signature bond, understanding this would not contemplate his release because he does have that probation hold. We're asking the court to consider that. And he doesn't have, we don't have a problem with the no contact, Judge.
Okay, for the simple battery, it'll be a $750 good bond. For the false information, a $250 good bond. Makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Pitts. Stay away from her residential address. A social worker visit to assist with housing or anything else that Mr. Brown might find necessary. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck to you, Mr. Brown.
Number 11 and 12, Green.
Good afternoon, Mr. Green. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000018Y with criminal trespass, and in case 25 CR 000019Y with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
It's his 10th arrest. His last arrest was in 2002 for unlawful entry.
Yes, Ms. Desiano.
Yes, Judge, my apologies. It's somewhere in my notes. There we go. Your Honor, both of these incidents happened at the Scheller College of Business on the Georgia Tech campus. One incident happened back in May on the 28th, and one incident happened yesterday. Essentially, the defendant was sleeping on the steps, both at the location, both times. He was provided a criminal trespass warning back in 2019 to this location. Looks like it expired in June of 2024. And for the incident that happened in May, not entirely sure why he wasn't arrested at that point, because it was an outstanding warrant. However, he was back on the property again yesterday, sleeping, and they picked him up. And Your Honor, he has very old arrest history, so we're just requesting a signature bond and stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Okay, any objection to any of that, Ms. Bader?
No objection, Judge.
Okay, for each of the charges, it's going to be a $500 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Georgia Tech campus. I would also like him to have a social worker visit to see if we can assist him with housing, Ms. Bader. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Green.
Judge, next I have Lisa Chamberlain. She's not on the calendar, but Ms. Bader had already interviewed her.
Your Honor, we can't do that case yet. We're still accusing it.
I filed an accusation, Your Honor. Let me see if there is a number.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Of course. I think we're still waiting, but we'll be ready.
Give us about 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, so can we?
Oh, I see it.
Can we come back to that one and go to the interpreter case? Is that okay?
Sure.
Yes, that's fine, Judge.
Okay.
Is McLean back on? Oh, there he is.
Yes, he's in courtroom 1 there. Let's see. And can somebody tell me the position of this case?
This is position number 19.
19, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Ms. Chance, if you can raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that you will translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
I do, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Maldonado. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video.
Buenas tardes, señora. I'm sorry, did you say Mr.?
Yeah,
No,
Judge, that's a lady.
Miss.
That's a lady, Judge.
Yeah, Miss Maldonado.
Oh, señora Maldonado, yo soy el juez Eric Morrow con el Tribunal Estatal y en esta lista de causas de trámite rápido, conduciéndola por video.
You have been charged in case 25 CR 000006E with simple battery family violence.
Usted ha sido acusada en el cargo 25CR000006E por golpes y lesiones simples y violencia familiar.
Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Hay antecedentes, señor Howard.
A second 2018 alien inadmissibility.
A uno segundo, en el año 2018, por inmigrante indocumentado.
Ms. Allen?
Señora Allen,
Thank you.
gracias.
This is an incident from December the 31st.
Este es un incidente del 31 de diciembre.
At about 10:20 p.m. at 821 Roswell Creek Lane.
Alrededor de las 10:20 de la noche en el 821 de Roswell Creek Lane,
Police were called to apartment J about a physical altercation.
y la policía fue llamada desde el departamento J acerca de un altercado físico.
On scene, the defendant was outside on the curb.
Y en el lugar de los hechos, la acusada estaba fuera en la vereda.
She was obviously intoxicated.
Y ella estaba obviamente ebria.
She reported that she'd gone out with friends about 2 hours prior, and now her boyfriend, Mauricio Sanchez, was not letting her inside.
Ella declaró que había salido con amigos y 2 horas antes, y ahora, en ese momento, el novio Mauricio Sánchez no le permitía entrar.
They live at the location together, Your Honor.
Y ellos viven en ese lugar juntos, su señoría.
The police documentation notes that the same officer responding on the 31st had been to the location numerous times. All the times he'd been there resulted in some kind of violence and involved alcohol.
La documentación que se encuentra policial en las notas, el mismo oficial respondió el 31 que había estado en ese lugar numerosas veces antes, y todas las veces había sido como resultado de un tipo de situación violenta involucrada con el alcohol, con el uso de alcohol, perdón.
Sorry. Officers made contact with Mr. Sanchez at the door. He allowed them to get the items of the defendant.
Los oficiales y contactaron al señor Sánchez en la puerta, quien les permitió entrar, obtener todas las pertenencias de la acusada.
While police were on scene, Mr. Sanchez requested his keys to the location, and the defendant slapped him with an open hand in front of officers.
Mientras la policía estaba ahí en el lugar, el señor Sánchez pidió sus llaves del departamento y la acusada le dio una palmoteada con una mano abierta enfrente de los oficiales.
Officers took her to the patrol vehicle where she said that the victim had told her he was going to kill her in Spanish and that police just didn't understand.
Los oficiales la llevaron al patrullero, donde ella les dijo que la víctima le había dicho que iba a matarla en español, y la policía no entendió.
Officers went back to speak to Mr. Sanchez, and he reported that what he'd said to her was, the guy that you're hanging out with can now pay for your life, because he'd been completely supporting her.
Los oficiales volvieron a hablar con el señor Sánchez, y él informó que lo que le había dicho a ella era que el hombre con quien ella estaba saliendo podía mantenerla de por vida, porque él había estado completamente manteniéndola financieramente.
We did speak to Mr. Mauricio Sanchez today. He reported that this is the third time police have been to the location and the first time the defendant has been arrested. He confirmed the information. He says that they're in a relationship and they share no children.
Hablamos con el señor Mauricio Sánchez hoy, que informó que esta es la tercera vez que la policía ha estado en el lugar y la primera vez que la acusada ha sido arrestada. Él confirmó que la información que él decía que los oficiales decían, ellos estaban en una relación y no tienen hijos.
Um, Mr. Sanchez has not joined us on the Zoom today. He did say that he was okay with contact. Based on the multiple times the police have been to this location and the alcohol involvement, the state's requesting a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, and no contact with Mr. Mauricio Sanchez, a one-time escort to stay away from that location, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
El señor Sánchez no se ha unido a nosotros en la plataforma de Zoom hoy y él sí dijo que estaba bien de volver a tener contacto basado en las múltiples veces en que la policía había estado en el lugar y la involucración de actos del uso de alcohol y la fiscalía pide una fianza bajo garantía de $2.000, su señoría, y no tener más contacto con Mauricio Sánchez. También debe ser escoltada por un oficial para ir al lugar a buscar sus pertenencias y que queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas. Perdón, señora. Él dice que no quiere contacto. Gracias. I'm sorry, Miss Allen. Did, did Mr. Sanchez wanted contact or not?
He said he wasn't opposed to
Ok,
contact.
ok. El señor Sánchez, discúlpeme, él no está opuesto a que haya contacto con usted. Thank you, Miss Allen. Thank you.
Will you sound for Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, sir. Señor Sánchez, Mauricio Sánchez, ¿está presente usted en la plataforma con nosotros de Zoom? Por favor, prenda el micrófono y háganos saber.
Okay. Doesn't appear that he's with us. Mr.
No
McLean?
parece.
Thank you, Your Honor. Gee, part of this is a very difficult decision about the contact because on the one hand, I personally agree with the state that it's best to have things cooled off. On the other hand, I hate to be in the position of saying that it's okay to kick her out of her home and make things terrible for her.
Gracias, su señoría. En realidad lo veo difícil la decisión de contacto porque como personalmente yo estoy de acuerdo con la fiscalía que es mejor dejar que las cosas se enfríen. Por otro lado, realmente no me gusta estar en una posición de decir que está bien que él la eche de su hogar y que haga que las cosas vayan de peor a terrible.
But of course, she would have a place to stay with her supervisor for whom she works.
Pero por supuesto ella tiene un lugar a donde quedarse con su supervisora para quien trabaja.
She tells me she's been in Georgia for 2.5 years, and she's been in the United States many years before that.
Ella me dice que ha estado en Georgia por 2 años y 2 años y medio y que ha estado en los Estados Unidos muchos años antes.
I think that with the number of prior arrests, she does, by the way, clean houses and has done full-time work for years.
Yo creo que con el número de arrestos anteriores, ella en realidad, a propósito, limpia casas y ha hecho un trabajo a tiempo completo durante años.
I think it would be appropriate to give her a signature bond, and I think it would be appropriate to have conditions on it.
Creo que sería apropiado darle una fianza bajo firma y creo que sería apropiado poner condiciones en la fianza.
So the request of the defense would be for a signature bond, Your Honor.
Entonces, solicito la solicitud de la defensa sería una fianza bajo firma, su señoría.
Okay, it will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 day anger awareness, no further contact with Mr. Sanchez, stay away from the Roswell Creek Lane address. She can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Muy bien, serán entonces $3,000 de fianza bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio, una clase de un día de manejo de la ira, no tener más contacto con el señor Sánchez, mantenerse distanciada de la dirección de Roswell, en Roswell, de Creek Lane domicilio. Ellos... usted puede volver a la dirección solo en una ocasión para retirar sus pertenencias personales. Queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
Good luck to you, ma'am.
Mucha suerte, señora.
All right, do we need, Madam Interpreter for anything else this afternoon?
We just need a Russian translator now.
Oh, I wish I
Oh.
could.
All right, thank you for being here. We
You're
appreciate
welcome,
it.
sir. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
And
have a
Happy
good
New
one
Year to everybody.
as well.
Thank you.
We don't need one for position 1 on the add-on.
Who's
Mr.
that?
Flores Rivera.
No.
Okay.
No, we don't.
Okay, who do we have next?
Number 26, Ms. Smith.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Smith. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000025F with hit and run, distracted driving, and following too closely. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
It's a ninth arrest. I got a 2019 assault battery that was dismissed out of Boston. 2010 shoplifting conviction. It was jail, the recommendation.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from October the 10th of 2024 at about 10:40 in the morning around the intersection at Sidney Marcus Boulevard and Buford Highway. The defendant was recorded on camera striking the rear end of a vehicle driven by the victim, Mrs. Shi, S-H-I. The victim had a camera in her vehicle, and on that camera, the defendant is visible behind the victim with her phone up near her shoulder area, holding it up in the air, looking at it. As she comes to the intersection behind the victim, she's looking at her phone. At another point shortly thereafter, while holding her phone up, looks down at the floor and bends over to try to maybe move something on the floor, and is obviously distracted. At this point, her car moves forward and she strikes the victim behind in her vehicle. She's seen to exit. Both victim and defendant exit their vehicles. The defendant continues to hold her phone up by her shoulder and looks as if she's taking photographs of the damage to the victim's vehicle. She never speaks to the victim. She never exchanges information with the victim, and she certainly doesn't wait for law enforcement. She proceeds to get back into her vehicle, close the door, and patiently wait for traffic to clear so that she can get back into the lane of travel, and she just leaves. She was identified using the camera footage and the information about her vehicle. So this is a classic hit and run, Your Honor, and follow too closely, as well as now distracted driving based on the telephone use. Her criminal history is mostly out of Massachusetts. She has a significant driver's history, including multiple suspensions and driving issues. This is her first arrest in Georgia. However, I'm unclear where she currently lives, if her address is Georgia or not. I don't remember right now. We're asking for a $3,000 surety, Your Honor. No contact with the victim in this case, Mrs. Shi, S-H-I, and no driving unless licensed. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, she's been in Georgia about a half a year, but her address is 3 digits, R Road, and a particular unit number. She has stable phone numbers. She's been a caregiver for the last 2 or 3 years, and before that, I believe, doing more caregiving. So her career is basically in-home caregiving. She has a associate's degree from the Roxbury Community College in Boston. And it would appear that with having been here and with the Far Road address being a good mail address, we would ask the court to consider a signature bond rather than a surety. Thank you.
All right, for the hit and run, $1,000 signature bond through the jail, the distracted driving, a $500 signature bond through the jail, following too closely, a $500 signature bond through the jail, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Shi. No driving unless properly licensed. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Smith.
Number 20, Moses.
Good afternoon, Ms. Moses.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
You have been charged in case 25 CR 000008A. And this is Shalisa Moses, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers and disorderly conduct. Let's see, is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Oh, we did this. Fourth arrest, 2023. We got an open case for breach of trust with fraud intent out of South Carolina. 2020 uninsured motor vehicle, possession of marijuana, and a resident of South Carolina.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is an incident that occurred at the Motel 6 in East Point at 1377 Virginia Avenue on December the 31st. Police were called to the location with a complaint of a disorderly person who needed to be criminally trespassed. On scene, they made contact with a clerk at the location, last name Howell. Mrs. Howell reported that the defendant came to the front desk and was using vulgar language and behaving in a disorderly way. There in the lobby, she asked that the defendant be criminally trespassed, and the defendant was given that notice. While police were speaking to her, she refused their verbal commands and walked away. She actually walked out into the middle of the street, Harrison Road, where vehicles were seen having to maneuver around her. She was visibly upset. When police did speak with her and she was compliant to some degree, she reported that she'd missed the transport bus to the airport that was offered by the hotel, and she'd gone to the front desk to ask about the next bus and was upset because she was going to be late. And at that point, she became disruptive and verbally abusive to the staff there. She does have a South Carolina address. It was noted when she was taken into custody that she's got an outstanding warrant for a 2016 theft out of Doraville, and that her prior record for the most part is out of South Carolina. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, to stay away from the location, the Motel 6 at 1377 Virginia Avenue, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, she was one of the later interviews, practically the last one, next to last interview. So I did get hold of Ann Johnson, who I think is on the Zoom. I think that would be Annie Johnson there. And basically to her friend, Annie Johnson, who is not in Georgia, I said, I know what she was doing in Georgia. Does she have enough Georgia contacts that we can cite to the court where she could get her mail in Georgia for court notices? Your Honor, what she was here in Georgia for, she has a sick grandmother and she was visiting her. The grandmother did not, she doesn't speak well on the phone. She sounded fairly sick. And I called her and talked to her, but she could, I don't have the address for the grandmother. Miss Moses herself and Miss Johnson may agree with this, believe that it would be appropriate and that it would be permissible to use the grandmother's address for her mail on Georgia court matters, but I don't have that address, Your Honor. I'm hoping that maybe Miss Johnson has researched that a little further, but I don't know. Your Honor, her story is a little different about the incident, but we would ask the court to consider a signature bond. Let's see, she does hair and she worked at the cafeteria before that. And so she is employed and she has pursued her education post high school in a couple of different matters. And she's been online. She's currently working on a bachelor's online. Thank you. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond if we confirm up this Georgia address.
I have my grandmother's address.
Oh, do you need for me to ask Miss Annie Johnson anything, Mr. McLean?
Yes, if we can get her to open up her video and.
Miss Johnson, if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to activate your camera for me.
It says it won't let me. It won't let me put the camera thing on because
Okay. We'll have someone help you activate that for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. If you can raise your right hand for me.
Yeah.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're gonna have to stay steady for me, Miss Johnson.
Sorry. Okay, I'm standing.
Okay. Yes, Mr. McLean.
Ms. Johnson, do you know of a Georgia address at which she would be able to get her mail and to stay whenever she's in Georgia to see about court?
Yes. My friend. I just spoke.
Stay steady, Ms. Johnson.
Yeah, I just spoke to her. She's gonna give it to me.
You haven't gotten it yet?
No. Yeah, she's right here.
Okay. What would that address be?
What do I need now?
You're on mute, Ms. Johnson.
Please. Yeah, she's right here. She's gonna give the address right now.
Thank you.
I ain't doing shit. Okay, you ready?
Could she be sworn or do we need to?
I don't know. I mean, if you want to get her address, that's fine with me. I'm more concerned about the outstanding warrant, Mr. McLean, more than whether she's going to be able to get an address. You can get an address at any time to get her mail to her for court notices. But I mean, my bigger concern is that she has an outstanding warrant that she doesn't live in, apparently, in the state. So do you have anything else?
No, Your Honor, just to point out that if it's a Dorville warrant from 2016, I don't know if it's moot or if it's, I understand if it's open, that it's open, but nothing else.
Okay. It's going to be a $500 good bond per charge, makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the Motel 6 on Virginia Avenue. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Moses. Thank you for being here, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. Oh, so you got the address?
I can get it from you later.
Okay.
I'll explain about the clerk and all that stuff.
Okay.
Judge, what was that bond?
$1,000 good, 500 per charge.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Position number 5.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Cheatham. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000007B with 1 misdemeanor offense. Is there a history?
6 total. Got an open 2021 case out of Alabama, robbery, 3rd degree, probation. 2019 forgery in the 3rd. 05 robbery. What is it? Robbery, attempted murder, 05. It just shows as an arrest though. He's homeless, according to the booking.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Desiano.
Your Honor, this is Mr. Cheatham.
Yes.
Okay. This incident happened on December 31st at the Sandy Springs MARTA station. The complainant here is Samantha Hoyos, says that the defendant exposed himself and made some hand gestures towards her while exposed. She positively identified him to police, and the incident's caught on CCTV footage. Your Honor, the state's requesting a 2,000 surety, stay away from MARTA, no contact with Samantha Hoyos, an SDET, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Yes, Ms. Bader?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Cheatham is 41 years old. He born and raised in Atlanta, has his GED, and then proceeded to get 2 trade certifications, one in horticulture and one in carpentry. He is currently looking for work. Judge, at this point in time, he does maintain his innocence on this case, and we're asking for a signature bond if the court is willing to consider it. Thank you.
Spader also want him to have a social worker visit to assist with housing. At this time, it's going to be a $500 good bond, no further contact with Ms. Hoyos, abide by any MARTA restrictions, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
This is the new update, add-on number 2, Ms. Chamberlain.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Chamberlain. You have been charged in case 25 CR 0000032D with driving while license suspended or revoked, driving on a suspended or canceled registration, improper erratic lane change, and no brake light or turn signal. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Judge, let me get the name, please.
It's Chamberlain.
Oh, 11 total. On probation, suspended license as of October. That's out of Henry County. Got another probation for suspended license out of Barrow County. Got probation for, no, got a battery out of Spalding County. Got a suspended license, another Henry County. Another one. Yeah, and one out of Fayette County. That's it.
Alan?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from December the 9th. The defendant was driving a vehicle that was seen to have a broken rear window. It also was noted by police to have no operable brake lights. While watching the vehicle, the defendant was driving. It made 2 erratic changes of lane, cutting off other vehicles. Police made a traffic stop, ran the registration on the vehicle. It was expired, registered to the defendant out of South Carolina. When police spoke to the defendant, she confirmed that she had no license. It was currently suspended. So this was on December the 9th, Your Honor. The defendant has criminal history out of South Carolina. Her car is registered in South Carolina. In May of this year, she was convicted for driving without a license here in Georgia. She's got an open battery from May of 2024. September the 5th, she was arrested for driving without a license in Henry County and pled nolo. That nolo disposition was entered the 24th of October. And on November the 4th, she was arrested for driving without a license in Henry County. So there's some kind of disconnect here with just flagrant multiple violations. We are asking for $1,000 surety, absolutely no driving, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And maybe some clarification about where this individual lives, South Carolina or Georgia. Thanks.
Ms. Bader?
Yes, Judge. Ms. Chamberlain is currently 42 years old. She currently lives in McDonough, Georgia with her son. She generally had been traveling for work. She's a general manager at Bojangles, where she was to go to different stores to help clean them up. But right now she's, as far as I understand it, stationary in McDonough. And she's been working there for 20 years, has her graduated high school, has her associates. Um, Judge, we would ask for a 500 for the bond to not exceed $500. Thank you.
For the suspended license, it'll be $1,000 good bond. For the registration, a $500 good bond. For the improper lanes change, a $250 good bond. For the lights, a $250 good bond. Makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No driving without a valid license, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. You've got a number of convictions and charges of driving on a suspended license. Ms. Chamberlain, you cannot get behind the wheel of a vehicle without having a valid license. You understand me? All right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Position number 8, Davis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Davis. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000013Y with 2 counts of simple battery, family violence, and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is your history, Mr. Howard?
18, on probation, Clayton County. Unlawful to remove baggage, cargo from bus, rail, aircraft, or terminal. Open case for ag assault out of Superior Court. It's 24 SC 005789. Got an open 25 PI case for 2 counts of meth. Probation violations 2019, 21, 23. 2017 burglary, first offender. 2018 theft by taking conviction and probation. That's it.
Thank you. Staciano?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident happened on December 17th at the Lennox SMARTA station. Officers were dispatched there to an assault. Upon arrival, they made contact with the defendant and the victim, whose name is Jamil Wright. Both parties say they were in a relationship and they've been living together for many years. The victim was not very cooperative on scene with providing the name of the defendant or anything like that. But officers were able to view CCTV footage, and it showed the defendant grabbing the victim's collarbone, choking her neck, pulling her hair on the north platform. The officer informed the defendant that he was under arrest and he fled the scene. There was a BOLO that was issued, and he was identified through police software, and his photo was confirmed with his license and the security footage. We've not been in touch with Ms. Wright today. The state's requesting a $2,500 surety, 1,000 on each of the simple batteries, 500 on the willful obstruction. No contact with Ms. Wright. Stay away from MARTA. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. If you can sound for Ms. Wright.
Jamil Wright is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Spader?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Davis is 32 years old. He's been living at his current address for over 10 years. He's the main financial support for his family, including his nieces and nephews, ages 5, 7, and 13, and he works 7 days a week doing Uber Eats. And he does have his GED. He has been married for almost 1 year. This did happen on December 17th. His wife did not call the police. It's our understanding that she does not want to move forward, doesn't want Mr. Davis to be in custody. It's also my understanding that her phone is currently not working. Judge, I'll try again to get in contact with someone who can hopefully get her on the line. Judge, we are asking for signature bonds on these cases and no further violent contact.
Okay. For each charge, it'll be a $500 good bond, makes for a total of a $1,500 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Wright. Stay away from the residence. He can have a one-time escort with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. If someone hears from Ms. Wright and she has different desires, then the bond can be modified in the future. Good luck to you, Mr. Davis.
Add on position number 1, Flores Rivera.
Okay, tell me again, add on one on the first or second calendar. And what's the name?
It's add-on number 3 on the second calendar.
Oh, number 3, okay, thank you. And tell me the name again.
Frankie Flores Rivera.
Thank
It's
you.
position 1, Your Honor, on the add-on, the first add-on.
Huh? Oh,
He's add-on 1, then he's add-on 3 on the second add-on calendar. We had 2 add-on calendars.
Okay,
Oh, I'm
so
sorry. Oh, I don't have the second one.
okay, so are they different? Are they 2 charges or just
No,
one?
it was just 2 additional add-on calendars. They get another one.
yeah.
All right. So good afternoon, Mr. Flores Rivera. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000030C with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Yeah. 8th arrest, 2015 suspended license no low, 2013 probation, 2013 simple battery DV conviction. This is level 2. That's it.
Okay. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Judge, this incident happened on December 31st. Officers responded to the Johns Creek Presbyterian Church at 10950 Bell Road in Johns Creek in reference to a man loitering. Upon arrival, they spoke with the complaining witness, who's a member who works with the church. His name is David Hughes. He explained that the defendant is a homeless man. He's sleeping at the church and refuses to leave when told to do so. He sleeps there without the church's permission. He's been asked to leave multiple times. The most recent criminal trespass warning that Johns Creek Police has issued him is as of September 27th, 2024. It doesn't look like the defendant's ever been arrested. He's just been trespassed and told not to return. And he was back on the property at the incident date. Your Honor, state's requesting an SOB, a stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. It's been over 10 years since his last arrest.
Any objection to any of that, Mr. McLean?
No, Your Honor, we agreed that the signature bond would be appropriate. I'll leave off telling about his background. Thank you.
Okay. I do want him to have a social worker visit to assist with housing if necessary. So there'll be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Johns Creek Church, social worker visit, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Mr. Flores Rivera, I'm going to let you sign yourself out, but if you go back to that church and they, and they arrest you again, then I'm not going to give you a signature bond the next time, okay? So don't go back to that Johns Creek Church, sir. All right, good luck to you, sir.
What's your bond?
It's $1,000 signature bond through the jail.
Position number 15, Mr. Hogg.
Hog.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hogg. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000023E with battery family violence and simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Second arrest, 2018 possession of a firearm by convicted felon, dismissed. 08 burglary tools conviction. Level.
Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident happened December 30th. Officers were dispatched to 320 Fairburn Road, apartment V as in Victor 4, regarding a dispute. Both the defendant and the victim called 911. They share a child together. The incident location is the victim's residence. The victim is Tamisha Wagner. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. She told police that the defendant had been drinking all night. He was very intoxicated. The victim's daughter told the defendant he was giving off a bad vibe, which made him very upset. Once he got irate, the victim asked him to leave. The victim told the defendant that he needed to wait outside until the police arrived to continue getting his belongings. The defendant started banging on the door very loudly, and the victim opened the door and the two engaged in a physical altercation where the defendant pulled out several of the victim's braids from her head and was pushing her into walls. The officer spoke with the defendant, who stated that the victim was asking him for money. He refused. She told him to get out, and she wouldn't let him finish gathering his things, and refused to let him back into the apartment, and they got into a fight, which is essentially what happened. They spoke with the victim's daughter. It's my understanding that it's not the daughter that they share. It's a different daughter. I'm not sure if she's an adult or not. Her name's Jamira Wagner. She corroborated Ms. Wagner's account of what had happened, and the defendant was determined to be the primary aggressor. We have been in touch with Ms. Wagner today. She states that she and the defendant are no longer in a relationship, and they do not live together. They do share one child. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She states that she doesn't have issues with the defendant unless he's drinking. He only gets like this when he's drinking. He's never been physically violent with her in the past. She reiterates several times that he needs help with his drinking. She's not in fear and would like to continue contact. The state's requesting a signature bond through pretrial, no further violent contact with Ms. Wagner, an anger awareness course. We're also requesting an ADET or drug and alcohol screening through pretrial, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. If Your Honor can sound for Ms. Wagner, I believe she's on the line.
Ms. Wagner, if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You would have to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Doesn't appear that she would like to address the court this afternoon. Yes, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah,
We have
I'm sorry. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, ma'am. You have to activate your camera for me. Okay. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What would you like to tell the court, ma'am? You can place your hand down.
Okay. Well, me and Isaiah was in a relationship. We does share a child together. Isaiah is not a bad person. He actually is a great person, a great father. He have a problem with drinking, which he's an alcoholic. And when he drinks, he's just sometimes cannot control himself. He's very smart. He is a great father, like I said, and a great person. And he's not a threat to me, but that night I couldn't control him, so I had to call the police to get him removed from my premises.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wagner. I appreciate you being here this afternoon.
Thank you.
Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. We have no objection to the signature bond. I do not believe the ADHD is necessary at this time, nor the anger awareness, Your Honor. My client, I don't believe he has any anger issues. It doesn't sound that way to me. Based on what he told me, he just needed a police escort to leave the premises. He was quite willing to leave because they had a disagreement. It doesn't sound like he was particularly angry to me. So I don't think that's necessary, and we are okay with the signature bond.
Okay. For the battery, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the simple battery, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 1 day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Wagner, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Thank
Good
you.
luck to you, Mr. You're welcome. Good luck to you, Mr. Hogg.
Number 23, Reed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Reed. You have been charged in case 25 CR 0000178 with possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
19. We got an open 24 PI case. Speeding, possession of a controlled substance, 1 or 2. Possession of marijuana less than an ounce. On probation for burglary, first degree, ag stalking. It's 23 SC 186074. Also on probation, ag battery, ag assault, false imprisonment, battery, 22 SC 185093. 2023 FTF. That's it.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a incident from December the 31st at about 4:30 in the afternoon in the area of Alpharetta Highway, 10719 Alpharetta Highway in Roswell. Police were alerted to a wanted person that had been identified in the area. They ran the vehicle of the defendant, the vehicle he was driving. It was confirmed he had an active warrant. The picture that came up associated with that vehicle and the driver's license matched the description of the defendant. He was seen exiting his vehicle and going into a post office. And then when he exited again, police made contact with him. There was an obvious smell of marijuana. Police looked in his car. He had a digital scale. He denied that he had any marijuana on him, but when he was booked into the jail, they found actual marijuana in his possession in addition to the tool or object that was in his car initially. He's just charged with the possession of a small amount of marijuana, Your Honor. We're asking for a $1,000 surety. I believe he's got a $1,500 bond already. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client, Mr. Reed, is 27 years old. He has a GED education. He has a child 9 years old in the 3rd grade who lives in Valdosta, and he provides support. He works for a moving company, Your Honor, and is seeking to increase his business by having his own independent moving company instead of the one he's now working for. Very ambitious. We would ask the court primarily, Your Honor, because of the nature of the charge, is mostly what I'm hanging my hat on. I would ask the court to consider the signature bond. Thank you. Oh, and his address is correct, and he's got stable phone numbers and contacts. Thank you.
Okay, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, well out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Reed.
Add-on number 1, Barnes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Barnes. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000011Y with theft by taking. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Open ag assault 23 SC 190798. Violation of family violence order. That's open out of Cherokee. 2020 ag battery unlawful taking of a motor vehicle. This was out of state. 2019 ag battery stalking. 2019 ag battery. 2019 tampering with evidence. Receiving stolen motor vehicle. 2018 trespass, concealing identity. 2016 ag battery. 2014 ag battery, false imprisonment. 2012 ag battery, ag assault. 06 assault. And history come out of New Mexico, but that was not Georgia. That's it.
Desiana?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened between September 18th and October 21st, 2024 at the Pops Coffee Shop at 11444 Alpharetta Highway in Roswell. The defendant's accused of stealing a white Simpson Outlaw Bandit motorcycle helmet from the display stand there. The helmet is the property of Colin McDonald. We don't have the reports and all of that yet. Not entirely sure how he was identified, but the warrant was issued for his arrest. We're requesting $1,000 surety bond, no contact with Mr. McDonald. Stay away from the Pops Coffee Shop, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Mr. McLean?
Sorry, Your Honor, which number was that?
Add-on 1, Barnes.
Oh, very good. I've got that handy, I believe. Your Honor, Mr. Isaac Barnes is 36 years old. He has an associate's degree in philosophy. He has, the last arrest being in Cherokee County is what it is, Your Honor, but he works currently at Five Below as the night audit manager. He's done that for several months. Prior to that, he has tutored people in certain areas of finance and law. we would ask the court to consider, because it is one count of theft by token, Your Honor. We would ask the court to consider, I'm not looking at the add-on calendar. I think that's what the original charge was, didn't change. So we would ask the court to consider a signature bond. He has a Lakeview Parkway address as opposed to what was in the PSA, so he can update the clerk. I gave him, we discussed this, and I gave him the J150 room number and the 160 Prior Street location of the J150 room number to go with a photo ID and update his correct mailing address. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond if possible. Thank you.
All right, it'll be $100 good bond. Stay away from the Pop's Coffee Shop. No further contact with Colin McDonald. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Barnes.
Number 10.
Afternoon, Mr. Garvey. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000016E with loitering and prowling and criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
15, got open obstruction, PI charge, and possession of marijuana. It's 24 CR 008275E. 2023 probation, 2023 trespass NOLO, 2021 and 2020 probation, 2017 theft by receiving conviction, 2015 dealing in stolen property. That's all. This was like level 3 or something.
Tatiana?
Yes, Your Honor. Pretrial, he's out on a SOB from that open case. Are y'all coming off that?
They may have already stopped supervising. I'll check into it.
Okay. He was just here, Your Honor, on he was before you on Christmas Eve for his open case, and you gave him a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, where he was exposing himself to a random person. This incident happened on December 31st. So within the week of him getting out of jail last week, he went up to 342 Glenwood Avenue Southeast. This is the residence of Mr. Bradley Bloodworth. And he is trying to enter Mr. Bloodworth's home by typing in the code. Obviously, he didn't know the code. So when someone was trying to enter into his house, Mr. Bloodworth called the police and hid in a closet. He was very concerned for his safety. Mr. Garvey then kicked his door, attempting to gain entry. That did not work. When police arrived, Mr. Garvey then went into Mr. Bloodworth's backyard and hid in a shed. And he was located there. It's my understanding, Your Honor, that the state had requested an MH or a BH on him last week, and that request was denied. We would just renew that. The warrants from the case last week show that the defendant was in some kind of MH crisis. It appears that he's on the street and trying to enter random people's homes. So there's a concern for his mental state at this point. We're requesting a $2,000 surety bond, no contact with Bradley Bloodworth, stay away from 342 Glenwood Avenue, a BH or an MHET, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Thank you.
Did I require a social worker visit? Do you know, Ms. Tatiana?
It didn't say so on the order, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Braden.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Garvey is 37 years old, Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. He does have family in the area. He did see his father for the time that he was out on bond. Went to work with him for a couple of days, spent Christmas with his family. Judge, there is a MH history here, and Mr. Garvey and I did discuss that. I have alerted our social work team. Judge, we're just asking for a reasonable bond in this case. Thank you.
Ms. Bridgewater, are you with me?
Yes, sir, I am.
I know the SAP reset date is for the 16th, which is a Thursday, which I'm not on. I would like to place him on that Tuesday. SAP calendar on the 14th if possible, so that I can see him again, since I started off with him and have given him, we'll have given him both his bonds now. So if we can place him on the SAP calendar on the 14th instead of the 16th, I'd appreciate it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So for each charge, it's going to be $1,000 good bond, makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with Mr. Bradley Bloodworth. Stay away from the Glenwood Avenue address. A social worker visit for a BHET. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Ms. Bader, would you get with the public defenders on my SAP calendar and let them know that I would specifically like to hear about from the social worker about Mr. Garvey when he comes, if he's not in custody and comes before me on the 14th, okay?
Absolutely, will do.
All right, I appreciate it. All right, Mr. Garvey. Good luck to you, sir.
Position number 1, Brevard.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brevard. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000004C with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
15, 2024 battery DV dismissed. 2024 simple battery DV trespass cruelty to children dismissed. 2023 simple battery DV hindering 911 call dismissed. 2015 trespass 11 terrorist threats. That's it. It's level 1.
Daciana?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident happened on December 31st. Officers responded to a domestic call at 12120 Wallace Woods Lane in Atlanta. Upon arrival, they made contact with the defendant. He was visibly very intoxicated. He was outside the location, slurring his speech, unsteady on his feet, and smelling of alcohol. The defendant advised he was in an argument with his wife, whose name is Melissa Fenn, about their plans for New Year's. He basically tried to walk away from the scene of the investigation several times. The officers ordered him to stay outside in order to keep everyone separated. He kept trying to go inside. This went on for a period of time. They eventually had to handcuff him and detain him in order to keep everyone separated. The officers were not able to determine a primary aggressor, so there were no charges associated with the dispute that they had arrived for, and arrested the defendant for obstruction, Your Honor. And the cases for that he was arrested for this year, these are all involving, well, the one from August 2nd is involving his wife, Miss Fenn. However, it was dismissed for want of prosecution. The state's requesting a $500 good bond, Your Honor. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Okay, Mr. McLean?
Mr. Brevard would like to ask the court to consider a signature bond. He is 43 years old. He has a minor child of age 15 who he provides support for. He has an 11th grade education. Your Honor, I noted what the PSA said about the last arrest and was just informed by listening about the others. His jobs have included cutting grass, moving refuse, and he has worked for the Metal Buildings Company. Nothing further. He does have that address, and he does have 2 good phone numbers. Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. It'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Brevard.
Position number 21, Nash.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nash. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000009J with driving under the influence of alcohol and distracted driving. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
15. Last arrest was 2023 DUI. 2021 sale of marijuana. 2019 probation. 2019 disorderly conduct conviction. 2018 shoplifting conviction. That's all.
Alan?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on the 2nd, so very shortly ago, or the 1st, excuse me, at 11 p.m., January the 1st at 11 p.m. Officers observed the defendant driving a red Highlander. He had a cell phone in his hand. A traffic stop was initiated at North Side and Donald Lee Hollowell. He was seen to have slurred speech and an odor of alcohol on his breath. He denied that he'd been drinking. He agreed to do some FSTs and had 6 out of 6 on the HGN, 4 out of 8 on a walk and turn, and the one leg stand. He was swaying and had to use his arms for balance and put his foot down. He was arrested for less safe, Your Honor. You did just hear that he's got an open DUI from September of last year. And his driver's history includes 2 different convictions for open containers. We're asking for a $3,000 surety, no driving, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Is the open DUI in Fulton?
No.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McLean?
Was that open DUI, what was the date on that one?
Hold on.
September. It might be Atlanta Municipal.
Yeah, I think it was. So it'll probably eventually be in Fulton if he bound over.
Yeah, I had 2023 down as opposed to last year. But
well, I guess technically it is now not last year, but it is just a little more than a year ago. So September of 2024. Yes.
Very good. Very good. Okay.
2023. Thank you.
You know what, the expression, if we were good at math, we wouldn't be lawyers and such. Your Honor, Mr. Nash is age 36. He has some college studying mass communication. He works in photography, graphic design, and uses AI to do the graphic design. We would ask the court to, he did have a private lawyer, but we weren't able to get hold of that person. We did get hold of the family, but it was just on short notice. So that's why they're not zooming in yet. So we would ask the court to consider a signature bond or as good a surety bond as possible in terms of us being able to make it. Thank you.
All right, for the DUI, it'll be a $1,500 good bond. For the distracted driving, a $500 good bond, makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Nash.
Number 24, Richardson.
Good afternoon. Mr. Richardson, you've been charged in case 25 CR 000020E with battery family violence, hindering persons making an emergency telephone call, and simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Yes. Second arrest, 2015 DUI conviction.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 1st of January. Police were called at about 7:50 in the morning to the location at 2742 Milestone Way. The victim in this case is LaShonda Holman. I believe she's joined us on the Zoom. The initial report, Your Honor, was made from the fire station at 2600 or 2611 Fairburn Road, where the victim had run and was injured. She reported that she ran to the location asking for help, and that's where she received help from the personnel there. She said she'd gotten into a fight with her boyfriend of about 4 years. They argued because he was upset he didn't get any gifts for the holidays. She had visible lacerations to the left side of her neck area and on her right arm. Her shirt was ripped. She said that she'd fought back when he was striking her by pushing him, and that the assault occurred at her residence at 2742 Milestone Way Southwest. And so police relocated back to that area. They made contact with the defendant at her apartment or residence. He was seen to have bruising on his nose. The victim was able to show police video footage from inside her residence of him punching her in the face and her fighting back. Also on footage, the defendant is seen following her as she tries to get away. And when he was detained, he was indeed in possession of her cell phone, which is why she had to flee and go to the fire station. Although they have different addresses, these individuals have been in a long-term relationship, and part of the items that were taken, his possessions there at the location were overnight bag and things you used to stay over. We spoke with the victim today, Mrs. Holman. She reported that they're no longer together. They don't have any children. She confirmed what happened. She said this is not the first time the defendant's been violent, but the first time she's called the police, and the first time he's been arrested because he would leave the scene usually after an assault. She's asking for no contact, Your Honor. We'd ask for a $6,000 SOB through pretrial, no contact with the victim. Again, her name is LaShonda. The spelling of her last name is Holman, and her address is 2742 Milestone. That's one word, Milestone Way. And if you'd sound for her, thank you.
Dr. Holman, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, you certainly don't have to, but if you would like to, I'll need for you to activate your camera and raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you can place your hand down, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
I would just like the court to know I'm not opposed to Mr. Richardson being released under a signature bond. He is not a threat to me. I feel that in this incident, had Mr. Richardson left the scene when asked, it may not have progressed to this level. He can be released on his own regards. I'm just asking the court for no contact moving forward.
Okay, thank you for being here this afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. McLean.
We agree, no objection.
Okay, for the battery, family violence, there'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the hindering person making an emergency telephone call, a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the simple battery, a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 1 day anger awareness. No further contact with Ms. Holman. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Richardson. You as well, Dr. Holman.
Thank you.
Norris, hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I have a question for Ms. Allen. Bobby Warren and Adolphe Williams.
Bobby Warren is a felony. His shoplifting cases since 2013 have been felonies because he's got so many. So we need to put something in his file at the jail. I'm tired of looking through all these convictions.
Okay.
Mr. Williams, along with the 2 other gentlemen on the docket, they all came through first appearance on the 28th and all have cases. This theft by receiving on Mr. Williams, it's a theft by receiving an item of a value of less than $1,500. It's a firearm. It's a felony. He's a first offender. He shouldn't have possession of a firearm. He's got 2 open felony cases for firearms.
All right. I just wanted to know so I can take them back.
Absolutely. Anytime you want. Thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize, Your Honor. Thank you.
Position number 25, Mr. Roll.
I'm sorry, say it one more time for me. One more time.
Number 25, Mr. Roll.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Rowe. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000024J with 2 counts of battery family violence and simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 1st at about 6:16 p.m. Police were called to 425 Rocky Creek Drive in Roswell. There they saw the victim first. Her name is Shannon Rowe. She's the wife of the defendant. She was outside in the driveway. She reported that her husband had assaulted her. She had visible redness on her face from being struck multiple times. She also had redness and forming bruises on her lower back. Police went to the front door and made contact with the defendant. He was clearly intoxicated. He was not able to keep his balance. He had to sit down on the curb so he wouldn't fall. He told police he'd had multiple shots of tequila and some beers, that he and his wife had been arguing for a few days, and he denied that anything had been physical except he had bloody dried scratches on the side of his nose and his neck. The victim told police that the defendant got angry when he was intoxicated and he asked for access to his guns. She said no, and that's when he started damaging things. He then grabbed his brass knuckles off the counter in the dining room and came at her and hit her repeatedly in her back while using those brass knuckles. She went and grabbed her phone and went into the hallway to try to create some distance. He followed her and grabbed her by the back of her hair and started to slap her repeatedly in the face. She fought back and was able to get away and go to the bedroom where she called 911. While on the scene with the victim, a neighbor also came and spoke to the police and reported that she knew about a prior incident. We haven't been able, well, let's see. We did speak to the victim, the wife of this gentleman, Mrs. Rowe. I'm not sure if she's joined us, if you'd sound for her when it is appropriate. She says that they're married and they live together. She confirmed the events in the warrant and that this is not the first time that he's been violent to her, but the first time that police have been involved, that he needs substance treatment. So we're requesting an ADET and no contact, Your Honor. He also needs to be ordered to stay away from the residence and will need a one-time escort. Again, the location address is 425 Rocky Creek Drive in Roswell. And if you'd sound for Mrs. Rowe, thank you.
Ms. Shannon Rose on the line that wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Okay, Ms. Rowe, can you raise your right hand for me? But speak first to make sure that I can hear you.
Yes, my name is Shannon Rowe, the wife
Okay.
of Gary Rowe.
Okay, I can hear you. Okay, if you raise your right hand again for me, thank you.
Sure.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, what would you like to tell the court, ma'am?
Yes, my husband has a very severe alcoholic problem, and I have been trying to get him into rehab. And with this incident that happened yesterday and the amount of violence, I have been looking at 2 rehab facilities, and I would like the court to mandate in-person treatment and to, start as soon as tomorrow. If I can get him to talk with the rehab place and get confirmation.
All right.
And that's,
No, go ahead.
nothing else. I know this is just a bond hearing.
Okay. Thank you for being here this afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Mr. Gary Rowe is 57 years old. He has had some schooling at Georgia Tech decades ago and also attended DeKalb College. He installs DirecTV dishes, and I don't think there's a prior history on arrests. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond with appropriate conditions. If there's social work that can provide any necessary evaluations about the alcohol that's being spoken of, it wouldn't matter from whom the social work services were provided, whether he got that on his own or whether we had our people talk to him.
Okay, well, I'm going to order an ADET so that he can at least be evaluated for substance abuse. So for each of the batteries, family violence, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the simple battery, it'll be a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. An ADET, no further contact with Ms. Shannon Rowe. Stay away from the Rocky Creek Drive address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond, which means that he'll have to relinquish any weapons that he has. All right, good luck to you, Mr. and Ms. Rowe.
Number 27, Mr. Thomas.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Thomas. You have been charged in case 25 CR 000026A with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
13, 2016 probation, suspended license. 2013 possession of meth, drug related objects. Most of this stuff is drugs, level 2.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you. This is an incident from the first at about 11:55 p.m. Police were called to 2444 West Road. That's the location where this defendant's mother and sister live. Mom's name is Mitzi Thomas, Mitzi. On scene, police met with Mrs. Thomas, who reported that during an argument, her son shoved her violently and she fell to the floor. She had abrasions that were visible on her arm. She reported that he had been drinking and he was trying to drive and she was trying to prevent him from driving. He got very upset. Her daughter intervened, Aisha Thomas. Police spoke with the daughter as well. She said that she observed her brother violently push her mom. She also said she'd recorded it and she showed police video footage of the defendant shoving his mother near the front door, causing her to fall into the wall. Sister Aisha said that she was unable to get the defendant to stop, even though she tried to intervene. Her recording stops abruptly after he shoves mom and the phone falls to the ground. You can hear the sister try to stop him and she's unsuccessful. She then went and got a firearm and held it down at her side and told him he needed to stop. He went to the gas station nearby where police found him and took him back to the scene. He said that he lives at his grandma's house and he'd brought his dog over so his mom could take care of his dog, and she was angry because she didn't want his dog there. And then they argued and his sister got involved. Police discovered he had an active warrant at a Union City for a probation violation when they took him into custody. We spoke with the victim today, mom. She reports that he does not live there, that his vehicle he was driving belongs to her, that he's been aggressive and threatening towards her and other family members in the past, but this violence is new. She does not want any contact and wants him to stay away from her residence. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, no contact with mom or sister. So that's Mitzi and Aisha, and that's spelled Aishah, I believe, last name Thomas. Location again is 2444 West Road. And if you'd like to sound for Mrs. Thomas, now would be the appropriate time, but no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and stay away. Thank you.
Ms. Aisha, Mitzi Thomas. It's the court. I'm sure I'm ready to do so. Yes, Ms. McLeod, is this your case? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, this is my case.
Okay.
Yes. Your Honor, if the court is disinclined to give my client a signature bond, I would ask for as slow as possible surety bond for him. Although he's employed, Your Honor, his income is not very high. He's okay with staying away from his mom's residence. He doesn't actually live there, so he's okay with that. I actually had the opportunity to speak with mom, and she indicated that she would not mind no further violent contact, but she doesn't want him to, to be around her a lot. That's what she told me, because she felt that he probably could use maybe some help with his alcoholism. That's what mom said to me, that she felt like he had an issue with alcohol. So if the court is inclined to order some kind of assessment for alcohol, that would be fine.
Okay. It'd be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. An ADET, no further contact with either Aisha or Mitzi Thomas. Stay away from the West Road address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck to you, Mr. Thomas. You're welcome.
You said 3,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Next is add-on number, hold on one second. Come on, please. Mr. Williams.
Okay, and that's Randall Williamson.
Yes, add-on
Okay.
position number 5.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Williamson. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000028J with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Fifth arrest. 2020 suspended license dismissed. 2014 possession of a Schedule 1 or 2. Possession of a firearm during the commission, that was dismissed. I think he's homeless. That's all.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on January the 1st at about 3:45 p.m. There are two different numbers for the address in the documents. I see 1001 Austin Avenue as well as 1101 Austin Avenue. The victim in this case is Allison Frechette, Frechettte. She's reported to be the defendant's wife. Police were dispatched to that location in reference to a dispute. On scene, the defendant claimed that there had just been a verbal altercation. Police spoke to his wife. She also said it was just verbal. Unfortunately for them, there were 4 separate witnesses who all spoke to police and gave different statements that were recorded. All of them reported seeing the defendant reach into the vehicle where the victim was sitting and repeatedly strike her as she screamed for help and asked for people to call 911. We did try to get in touch with Mrs. Frechette this morning, but we're not successful at this point. The last thing I see criminal history wise is 2014 felony level drug possession that was eventually null prossed. We're asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, Your Honor. Absolutely no contact with Allison Frechette, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and stay away from wherever she may be residing. Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
No objection.
All right, do you have a good address for him?
Your Honor, Lake Trail Drive in Griffin with the correct zip code. Yes, we do.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Allison Frechette. Stay away from her residential address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. And just so that I can make sure, I don't believe I sounded for Ms. Frechette. If Allison Frechette is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. Doesn't appear so. Okay, good luck to you, Mr. Williamson.
Add-on number 6, Renard Wright.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wright. You've been charged in case 25 CR 000029A with theft of service. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
66. Oh, hold on. Oh, he got a lot going on. He got open case out of White County, theft of services. Clayton County, shoplifting. Fairburn, shoplifting. Clark County, shoplifting. Another Clark County open case, shoplifting, obstruction. Coney County, giving false name. Let me know when you want me to stop. It's a lot. Trespass. Clark County got theft of services. Hall County, theft of services.
Okay, I've got it here. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes,
this
Ms.
is an incident from the 1st at about 3 p.m. Police were called to the Ichiban restaurant at 5306, I believe, Windward Parkway in Alpharetta. Their staff reported that the defendant came in, had a meal and beverages in the amount of $26.94, and then told everyone he didn't have any money. He showed them that he had $1.28, so he sat down and ate, knowing he could not afford that meal. And it looks like that's something he's done in the past. There are multiple cycles of theft of services in his history. He's got history out of Illinois as well as Georgia, Your Honor, and Tennessee. We're asking for $1,000 surety to stay away from that location, the Ichiban restaurant on Windward Parkway. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Renard Wright is 37 years old. He has a high school education. We understand about his prior arrests. He does have an Elizabeth Avenue address to receive mail court notices. He tells me he does work. I'm not clear exactly on the work. I think a social worker visit would be appropriate. We would ask the court to consider nonetheless a signature bond, primarily conserving society's resources, considering the amount of the alleged theft.
Okay, well, we need to do something to see if we can help Mr. Wright. So I think a
Right.
social worker visit is certainly in order for BHET. So it'll be $1,000 good bond, social worker visit for a BHET, stay away from the incident location, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Wright.
Number 22, we was waiting on a interpreter for his case, but I don't see one on.
Okay, Mr. Jordan, were we able to to ascertain an interpreter? Or are we gonna need to reset?
We're gonna have to reset until tomorrow, Judge. He said
Okay.
a Russian interpreter, right?
Yes, that was my understanding. And tell me again what position that was. 22?
Yes, position number 22.
Okay, so 22 will be reset until tomorrow, 1-3. Okay, now who do we have before us now?
This is position number 22. He's our last person.
Oh, well, what was the one who needed the interpreter?
Him, this person here.
Oh, okay. So he's gonna be reset until tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. All right. So
Are we
we
done?
do have a couple of waivers, I know. Let's see. What are we doing with position 16? Homes?
Medical reset.
Medical reset, okay, position 16 is a medical reset for 1-3. I know Landers is a waiver. And Ms. Bader, you also said 7 was a waiver, but didn't we see Mr. Copeland or Miss Copeland?
Yes, we did. We did, Your Honor. We did see her. She stuck around.
Okay, so let's do Landers, which is position number 18. Aquilia Landers charged in case 24 CR 008362E with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
9th arrest. Got an open trespass out of Clayton County. 2012 probation. 2011 giving false name conviction. All right, listen.
Yes, Ms. Desiano.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place on December 27th at the Motel 6 at 1377 Virginia Avenue in East Point. Police responded there regarding a person refusing to leave the property. An officer spoke with the employee at the location who stated the defendant was trying to gain access to a room. She claimed she had rented the room in her son's name or her nephew's name. She provided her son's name. They were like, there's no reservation under that name. She couldn't remember her nephew's full name, and she was giving kind of spotty answers, so they didn't give her access to the room. And at one point, she was just refusing to leave after that, so they asked her to get off the property. And when she wouldn't leave, they called the police. The police arrived and again explained that she needed to leave. She said she wasn't going to leave without getting her belongings, and she was arrested. Your Honor, state's asking for an SOB, a stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
No objection.
Okay, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from the Motel 6 on Virginia Avenue, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Okay, I see that I believe that completes the regular calendar. Did we get everybody on the add-on calendars?
No, Your Honor. I have a client who waived his appearance. His
Okay.
name is Mr. Adams, Felix Adams.
Okay, is he on
You're
one of our?
muted, Ms. Allen.
Felix Adams came through on the felony calendar on the 28th. He was arrested with homicide warrants. And these warrants for, I think, a single warrant for possession of a theft by
stolen
receiving
property.
a stolen gun dropped after his first appearance, and that needs to go with this felony case. It's part of the felony case.
Okay.
I don't know if Your Honor understands this. I'm sure you do after amount of time on the bench here, but when officers are, I don't know, lazy, they charge theft by receiving an item of a certain value of money rather than possession of a firearm. You can't prove new or knowing in a lot of these cases, and they know that. They just don't want to do the paperwork for the felony. So after this person came through first appearance with other felony warrants, they added that.
Okay. Have we missed anyone else?
For me.
I'm trying to make sure we have everybody.
It's a lot.
Right. So
my head is spinning.
Yes. So, Ms. Allen, does that mean he does not have a misdemeanor case anymore, correct?
He won't have a single case by itself for that one gun that was found in the car. It's associated with all the other charges he came through with on the 28th.
Right. I was a little confused about why he had this
So not only
charge.
did he already have first appearance in felony court, but
That's correct. That's what he told me.
After the fact, an officer just put an extra warrant on him, and so that doesn't create a brand new separate misdemeanor case. It goes with this felony.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. I looked at it, I promise.
All right, Ms. Bridgewater, are we ready for you?
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be January the 16th. On the regular calendar, position number 1 is reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 2 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 3 set to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. Position 4 reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 5 is going to the SAP calendar with a $500 good bond. Position 6 reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 7 reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 8 is reset to the SAP calendar with a total $1,500 good bond. 9 SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. 10 going to the SAP calendar for January the 14th with a total $2,000 good bond. 11 reset further notice with a $500 SOB through the jail. 12 reset further notice with a $500 SOB through the jail. 13 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $500 good bond. 14 SAP calendar with a $100 good bond. 15 is reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 16 is being medically reset till tomorrow. 17 reset further notice with a $3,000 total SOB through pretrial. 18 reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through pretrial. 19 reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 20 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. 21 SAP calendar with a total $2,000 good bond. 22 is being reset till tomorrow. 23 reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through the jail. 24 reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 25 reset further notice with a total $5,000 SOB through pretrial. 26 reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through the jail. 27 reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. Now for, I think it's the third edition of the add-on calendar. Position number 1 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $100 good bond. Position 2, SAP calendar with a total $2,000 good bond. Position number 3 is reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through the jail. Position 4, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 5, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial.
What's the contact?
On number 5, I have no further contact.
What's the level? 1?
Level 1.
Thank you.
And position 6 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
Okay, if not, very good. Thank you all very much. Very much
Okay, take care,
appreciated.
everyone.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes. See y'all next
Will
time.
we have you tomorrow?
No, I'll be back Monday and Tuesday.
Well, have a
and
nice
Thursday.
weekend.
You also.
Thanks,
All
Thank
right.
you.
everybody.
Take care, everyone.